Welcome back to Make Money Online. Today we'll be looking at the potential of XRP to yield massive profits for XRP holders. Like and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this one. Ripple is a technology that acts as both a cryptocurrency and a digital payment network for financial transactions. It was first released in 2012 and was co-founded by Chris Larsen and Jed McCaleb. The coin for the cryptocurrency is pre-mined and labeled XRP. Ripple is the third largest cryptocurrency by market cap, following Bitcoin and Ethereum. Rather than use blockchain mining, Ripple uses a consensus mechanism through a group of servers to confirm transactions. The digital currency, XRP, acts as a bridge currency to other currencies. It does not discriminate between one fiat or cryptocurrency and another, and thus makes it easy for any currency to be exchanged for another. Each currency on the ecosystem has its own gateway. For example, CAD Bluzelle, BTC Bitstamp, and USD SnapSwap. If David wanted Bitcoins as payment for the services rendered to Lawrence doesn't necessarily have to have Bitcoins. He can send the payment to his gateway in Canadian dollars, and David can receive Bitcoins from his gateway. One gateway is not needed to initiate a complete transaction. Multiple gateways can be used, forming a chain of trust rippling across the users. Holding balances with a gateway exposes the user to counterparty risk, which is also a risk that is apparent in the traditional banking system. If the gateway does not honor its IOU or liability, the user could lose the value of his money held at that gateway. Users that don't trust a gateway can therefore transact with a trusted gateway that in turn deals with the untrusted gateway. This way, the IOU will be with a trusted or credit-worthy certified gateway. Counterparty risk does not apply to Bitcoins and most other altcoins, since a user's Bitcoin is not another user's IOU or liability. The Ripple network does not run with a proof-of-work system like Bitcoin or a proof-of-stake system like NXT. Instead, transactions rely on a consensus protocol in order to validate account balances and transactions on the system. A consensus works to improve the integrity of the system by preventing double spending. A Ripple user that initiates a transaction with multiple gateways but craftily sends the same $100 to the gateway systems will have all but the first transaction deleted. Individual distributed nodes decide by consensus which transaction was made first by taking a poll to determine the majority vote. The confirmations are instant and take roughly 5 seconds. Since there's no central authority that decides who can set up a node and confirm transactions, the Ripple platform is described as decentralized. Ripple keeps track of all IOUs in a given currency for any user or gateway. IOU credits and transaction flows that occur between Ripple wallets are publicly available on the Ripple Consensus Ledger. But even though financial transaction history is publicly recorded and made available on the blockchain, the data is not linked to the ID or account of any individual or business. However, the public record of all dealings make the information susceptible to de-anonymization measures. Everyone is in agreement that our current financial system is flawed. Transferring money to individuals outside of your bank is a grueling process. And you might as well forget about exchanging money overseas, unless you love having a headache. And that's where Ripple comes in. XRP can be used in the Ripple Transaction Protocol, which can be used to ferry not just digital currency, but also money and information. The idea itself is actually thousands of years old, dating back to medieval Arabia. Years ago, individuals would exchange money through an agent. You, as an individual, would walk up to your agent and give them money with instructions to send it to your friend. This agent would then send it to the agent of your friend. Even though money didn't exchange hands on either end, a record of the money being moved was put into place. The receiving person's agent would be responsible for moving the money along to the intended recipient. Ripple simplifies that process, issuing a monetary payment through a digital channel. Similar to the medieval method, the money never actually changes hands. Both people have access to a secure channel which boxes out any potential threat. This makes Ripple an incredibly effective, secure monetary exchange that empowers individuals. And Ripple's developers have more in mind for Ripple's exchange potential than just money. Ripple could be used to exchange anything, simply through the creation of a secure pathway. This unique function makes it a powerhouse in the digital currency world. And even though this method directly empowers the individual, it's also a profit generator for large corporations. This brings us to our main point. How much profit can you make off of this? Here are a few ways to do so. Use XRP for its digital payment protocol rather than its cryptocurrency. Converting XRP for its digital payments protocol allows you to make more profit rather than only using it for its cryptocurrency operation. Don't allow your XRP to just be dormant. Make the move to add more profit. Also, you can use XRP for an open source and peer-to-peer decentralized platform that allows for a seamless transfer of money in any form, whether USD, Yen, Litecoin, or Bitcoin. Don't be stranded when you're at the bank again just because you have your XRP with you. To understand how the system works, consider a money transfer structure where the two parties on either end of the transaction use their preferred middlemen to receive the money. Here's a practical example to understand this point better. Lawrence needs to send $100 to David, who lives in a different city. He gives his local agent, Kate, the money to send to David with a password that David is required to answer correctly to receive the funds. Kate alerts David's agent, Rose, of the transaction details: recipient, funds to be reimbursed, and password. If David gives Rose the right password, Rose gives him $100. However, the money comes from Rose's account, which means that Kate would owe Rose $100. Rose can either record a journal of all of Kate's debt or IOUs, which Kate would then pay on an agreed day, or make counter transactions which would balance out the debt. For example, if Rose was also Martin's agent and Martin wanted to transfer $100 to John, whose agent is also Kate, this would balance out the $100 owed to Rose, since John will be paid from Kate's account. Although the Ripple network is a little more complex than this example, the example demonstrates the basics of how the Ripple system works. From this example, one can see that trust is required to initiate a transaction. Trust between Lawrence and Kate, Kate and Rose, and David and Rose. Ripple uses a medium known as a gateway that serves as the link in the trust chain between the two parties wanting to make a transaction. Gateways act as the credit intermediary that receives and sends currencies to public addresses over the Ripple network. Anyone or any business can register and open a gateway, which authorizes the registrant to act as the middleman for exchanging currencies, or maintaining liquidity and transferring payments on the network. Another way you can profit is to make transactions with XRP. Transactions use less energy than Bitcoin, are confirmed in seconds, and cost very little, versus Bitcoin transactions, which use more energy, take longer to confirm, and include high transaction costs. You know as well that the deduction of a minute amount of money from your wallet each day will one day increase to a tangible amount. With the use of XRP for your transactions, no deduction would be added, and in doing this, you're saving more profit for yourself. Also, you can link your XRP payment system to your local banks. Imagine having your XRP in all your normal banks. Those additional fees will really go a long way added by your local bank. XRP is used primarily by individuals and organizations as a digital currency. Ripple improves on some of the drawbacks attributed to traditional banks. Transactions are settled within seconds on the Ripple network, even though the platform handles millions of transactions frequently. This is unlike banks, which could take days or weeks to complete a wire transfer. The fee to conduct transactions on Ripple is also minimal, with the minimum transaction cost required for a standard transaction set at 0.00001 XRP, compared to the large fees charged by banks for conducting cross-border payments. Don't forget, it's obvious that Ripple Labs and its financial tools are valuable. It increases efficiency and saves time and money for both consumers and banks. That being said, Ripple is an anomaly in the digital currency world. Very few people realize that not all of the banks using the RTXP are using the associated digital currency XRP. In January 2017, the digital currency reached an all-time high of above $3, giving it a market cap that was nearly half the market cap of Bitcoin. Of course, in the cryptocurrency world, arguing about market caps is largely subjective. After all, how do you value a potential global currency like Bitcoin or a vastly valuable tool like Ethereum? So Ripple's market cap at the time of its $3 price was outlandish compared to that of other companies providing financial tools. These are things for investors to consider while thinking about Ripple as an investment. There's no doubt that it's a valuable technology, but with limited banks using XRP, investors should think about the tools that the company provides and whether they're worth the value. In this chart, it's very obvious that Ripple is ready to go higher due to the fact that price is continuing to trade in a wedge and falling to the downside of it. Price can reach the side and bounce to the upside of the wedge or even more. The price trend still lies slightly above the support level at 25 cents between the blue lines. We think it's positioned to hit the roof through the resistance set at 31 cents. Its correction from 60 to 20 cents was nothing because we are more focused on long-term fundamentals than short-term speculations. We hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and click that notification bell. What is your opinion on holding XRP? Let us know your answers in the comments below. While you're here, check out one of our other great videos. See you next time.
Hollywood Carson. That's how it goes. Hollywood Carson.